Hello, beautiful strangers, and welcome back to another episode of Myth. When last we left off, Lidi and Meito spent some quality time in his parents' room, and, well, while looking through their personal belongings, found an interesting location, and Lidi went there alone, which is unfortunate. But it is what it is, and there's nothing we can do about that. I mean, we didn't have a choice. I mean, did you see a choice? I didn't see a choice. I don't think we had a choice. But, yeah, let's get back into it, shall we? Kiki, you bought a cell phone too, didn't you? Could you give me Lidi's number? She said she'd contact me, but she never actually told me how I could. Oh, dear. One moment. Kiki froze up as she stared at her phone. What's wrong? It was the same type of phone Lidi had, just a different color. However, its battery ran out. Battery? Oh, there was something about charging it on page 19 in the manual, so that's why it stopped working correctly last night. You're messing around with it too much. Anyway, you can just tell me later when you get back home. Forgive me. Hold on. I'm sensing an inconsistency. We don't know who called Lidi this morning. But she just said her phone stopped working correctly last night, which makes me think that it wasn't her. The thick plottins. This Greek wine is actually not bad. Not bad at all. I might have to get more of it. I like dry Italian wine the most, but I like foreign wines. I like wines in general, as long as it's not too sweet. Yeah, it's nice. It is nice. I don't know actually what variety this is. Oh, it's very Greek, and I cannot say that in the slightest bit. So I have no idea what variety that is. I think it starts with an A. It starts with an A. I'm lost after that. And I don't even know if that's correct. I have no fucking clue anything about Greek pronunciations. I'm dumb as fuck when it comes to the events of the Adriatic. Anyway, show me those documents. Yuri spoke up. Here. She has a cord belt. I took the documents out from my backpack and showed them to her. It bothers me ever so slightly, but whatever. I think outfit accessories like that are kind of dumb. And her outfit is fine otherwise, and I could theoretically see somebody wearing like a cord. I guess that's not even really a belt, but whatever the fuck that is. But it's kind of dumb, and I would probably look at that in real life and think, that's kind of dumb. She fervently read through them. Does it make sense to you? Not at all. I'm not a scientist. There are two things I picked up on, though. Mind explaining? The first is the optical camouflage spoken of in these documents didn't exist in the year 2016. I don't know how research for this stuff is progressing, but at the very least there wasn't anything like optical camouflage wear in the future. Well, not unless it was classified government bullshit, but we don't need to go into that. The military spending of most global governments is much higher than you might think it is right offhand. Unless you're keyed into your politics of your country, then you might know exactly what your government spending is, or at least the reported government military spending. I never believe budgets outright, but I think it's a good clue as to what they're spending on stuff, even if it's not exact. I see. The other thing is if this level of camouflage could be realized, you could visually kill someone. My dad is the chief researcher at the Optics Research Institute. Could they be receiving funding from the state or some other influential entity? Don't be silly. Optics research in general is done by companies that develop and manufacture products like camera lenses and such. I'm not going to go into that. Huh? Also, why did she look a bit concerned there? But no, whatever. It can't be a public entity given it's Tanabe Optics Research. Must be small, privately institute. Or an ancillary company, quote unquote, based around or owned by or whatever, a much larger corporation that has each project as its own thing. So they technically are doing nothing while they contract out the things that they were contracted for. So everything is still hush hush. And, as few people need to know as possible. I'm going into things a bit too much. Or I'm thinking a bit too much into things, rather. Right. I can see that. I guess that was a needless worry, given the name. That'd be like something out of a movie otherwise. That still means we should look into your parents more, though. You still can't deny their potential involvement. Just asking about the research might be worth our time. Yeah. Her words lifted my spirits up. Well, just knowing where it's located at is already a plus. Anyway, we should meet with them and ask for more information. You have a cane? That's probably a purse, actually. Or a bag of some kind. Right. I can't get over the fact that her shirt says something like right here. That really bothers me. It's also very, very funny. We headed from my parents' workplace from Shinjuku Station via train. Whoa. Kiki gazed at the scenery from the windows like a child on their first trip via train. She wasn't loud, though, probably because she picked up on the atmosphere inside. Is it really that interesting? No. Well, yes, it is, but, no. Well... I'm a little scared. Oh, so that was it. That was only natural, though. There couldn't have been trains in her world. To be honest, I think in Japanese, at least the bullet trains, I don't know if this is a bullet train, move at like a couple 100 miles an hour or something like that. I would probably be scared too, but I also get motion sickness, and that would probably fuck me up bad. Like, I can get motion sick, not bad, just like headaches or just general discomfort feeling physically. And in like a 10 or 15 minute drive. So, and that's going at like city speeds. They could probably only travel via horse or on foot. Apparently the speed at which the scenery changed was too much for Kiki. Want me to pull down the shade? I asked her that as I reached out for it. Thank you, but I do kind of want to look out. She was both scared and curious, it seemed. She'd glance outside and quickly avert her gaze over and over. It's funny. Oh, right. You did the same thing when you first saw a car. Ah, yes, the Automa car. I'm sorry. I'm such a scaredy cat, but I can't stop. Lady always gets mad at me for this. She's saying I need to take it easy and not freak out. Well, I guess if everything startles you, that could be a little tiring. Not only for you, but the people around you as well. I think Riri wants to be startled by this sort of stuff, though. Really? I can't imagine that. She's really kind. Things will scare her, but I don't interact before she does, so she doesn't really have the chance to. Something I can't really tell about her on the surface, though. I wonder. I think it's more just her personality than losing her chance to react. She's surprisingly sensitive. She's worried about people looking at us while we were walking around through town the other day. Riri was? Yes. Well, you're sisters. It's no surprise you know all this stuff. We've been together forever. That'll probably never change either. I'll close the shade just halfway then, so you can look out if you're curious. I lowered the shade a bit on the opposite side of the train. The lady on the other side didn't seem too happy. Thank you. Is this the place? We were able to quickly find Tanabe Optics research. The map I printed out earlier from my computer helped a lot. Fucking MapQuest, that shit. This is 2002, so I think it actually literally would be MapQuest. Seems kind of derelict. She was right. The company was in the middle of a residential district. It seemed more like a factory than a research institute. It probably was cheaper. Hearing the children playing in the park, coupled with the appearance of the place, produced a rather poetic, vintage atmosphere around the company. They probably looked at it as like, well, we could get this nice office downtown, or we could get this one here for a quarter of the price. And, you know, they got the one at a quarter of a price because they're smart. Or at least just fiscally minded. And there was a bunch of machinery I didn't recognize inside. It was likely a workspace of sorts. Hello? I guess that's kind of an odd thing to say. I couldn't sense anyone's presence beside us, despite the fact I just shouted. No one's around? Kya? I heard Kiki yelp. I turned around and noticed an unfamiliar man standing there. Meto, what's going on? Yuri-chan's with you too? Did you skip school? I came here to talk with you and Mama. That's what I thought. It said an unfamiliar man. No, whatever. About what? Something very important. And you are? One of my friends. Nice to meet you anyway. Anyway, come inside. Your mother's upstairs. Papa greeted Yuri and Kiki, then headed up the stairs to the work area. We followed behind him. The second floor was rather lifeless. Beyond the shoe rack were some decorative plants along with a few shelves and 4 desks. The air conditioning seemed like it was on full blast. I shivered a bit. What are you looking around all over the place for? I'm just wondering where Mama is. She should be in the break room. We followed my father in there. Meto? What's wrong? What are you doing here? Her voice was high-pitched. She must have been my mother. Papa, Mama, there's something I want to ask you two. My mother and father looked at each other before my father spoke up. Meto, what are you going on about Mama and Papa for? I think he's just a fan of the Mamas and the Papas, you know. Cass Elliot was a really nice singer. That was her. It was Cass, right? Yeah, Mama Cass. Huh? Isn't that how I was supposed to address my parents? Mr. and Mrs. Tanabe, which of you wrote this? Oh, I did. This is just some sci-fi kind of stuff, though. Could you explain more about this? It's not really a big deal. It's just something like a memo I wrote down. It was a screwing around sort of thing was popular a few years back. Like a hoverboard from the Metsons would never work in reality. Or trying to reproduce lightsabers from Galactic Wars would have a host of its own problems. A scientific explanation of things from science fiction? Would you really call that an examination? I just wrote it down out of boredom. I don't understand all the details, but if you could actually make this, you'd be able to make an invisible person, right? It's impossible. The principles behind it are based on science fiction. It's not like I have the funding to actually test it out. And even if I did, I don't have the resources. Retroreflection materials aren't easy to come by. Retroreflection materials? Oh god. Like road signs are the vests people wear when directing traffic. If you shine light on those things, they reflect it. Yeah, hi-bye. Hi-bye. Hi-vis, hi-vis, whatever. Let's just look at this. From right to left. Even illuminated and invisible at night. Reflective material with light in the middle and the light source shining onto the retroreflective material. And on the left, retroreflection has the yellow material with the light flow going to and from the light source. So it's basically bouncing back from that. And yeah, it's just high-vis material. The reflect directs in the direction it came from because very tiny pieces of glass are placed inside those things at a specific angle. I think that's true for like paint, like the road paint. But I don't think that's true for like high-vis jackets, like construction jackets or traffic cones. But yeah, I know that's a thing for the paint, but I don't think like reflectors on a bike and shit like that are. Well, I think reflectors on a bike are like reflective plastic or glass, but whatever. Like a high-vis jacket are not like that, I'm almost certain. In other words, only the part with the retroreflective material will reflect. That's why writing on the signs or the outline of the vest will stand out. So, how is that related to optical camouflage? With this, it has the background retroreflective material. One uses the same method to inject the background image. The retroreflective material projects the background. Retroreflection materials become transparent. What I'm getting from this and from what my own knowledge is, it's basically covering yourself in not exactly a giant mirror, but kind of, sort of. It's so you're reflecting the things that's around you forward, so that somebody looking at you, they're just seeing the stuff that's around you instead of seeing you. Like you're not there because it's a bit more complex than that, I think. But I think that's more or less right. This technique is designed to make things stand out easier for people's eyesight. It can be applied in a reverse manner as well. For example, if you had the retroreflective glass placed at a different angle, you could have the scenery it reflects be contained within it. Meaning it's a cloak of sorts. Is that possible with today's technology? Nanomachines, son. Look at this. It's possible to implement this using a magic mirror and a projector. All it requires is placing retroreflective material in the magic mirror's incident range and projecting it. Theoretically, this would make any object effectively invisible. Yeah, like I said, it's reflecting the area, whatever. You said it was impossible just a bit ago? Yes, like I said, it's not easy to come by the stuff. It's impossible to make an object completely disappear. It's just a pie-in-the-sky theory. How could you be so sure of that? You can't make someone's shadow disappear. Shadow. It's fruitless so long as an object has a shadow. The shadow will always obstruct the reflection, so it'll always be visible. That's why I said this kind of material isn't easy to find. It's totally impossible. That's why this kind of thing only exists in science fiction. How would you completely erase someone's shadow? Like I said, so long as light exists, there will always be an accompanying shadow. This is common knowledge. Please answer the question even if you don't think it's particularly possible. That's foolish. But you're the one who wrote this down. What I wrote down is based on real science. Trying to go beyond that is a little... Please? Fine. There are two ways I can think of. And those are? Mess with the world itself, somehow distort space so that the trajectory of light changes, in a nutshell, making light cease to exist. And the other way? Mess with humans themselves. Simplify their sense of sight, for example, making them unable to see color, which would limit what's visible to them. This is obviously a crazy theory, but it'd make invisible humans possible. Well, not exactly, because it's still, even with that, you still have the problem of if something doesn't have the same wavelength in terms of shade and reflective properties, it's going to look a different hue even in black and white. That's why even if they are the same intensity, a green piece of paper and a red piece of paper are going to be different because they reflect light at different wavelengths. So the only way to do that would be you would have to find colors that are the same wavelength when they of the light that they reflect, And only then would they be the same hue, and they would be completely indistinguishable from the surroundings. And even then, it would only be where the color overlap is, but not anything else. Whatever. I see. That'd be kind of crazy. Right? Worlds like that don't exist even in Star Trek. The fuck is Star Trek? Is it supposed to be like Star Trek? I would, probably. That would make sense. So why are you asking about all of this? Are you doing independent research for school or something? My mom returned with some tea. Thank you. What about you? Yes, thank you. Kiki probably wasn't keeping up. Her mouth was just agape as she listened to us. Your mother's right. This was the last thing I'd expect you to ask about after seeing you for the first time in ages. Yuri and I looked at each other. We were likely thinking the same thing. Koichi and Kyoko Tanabe were clearly different from the ones written about in myth. What could that mean? Why did you guys write about this? Your father likes to write about this kind of stuff when he gets really drunk. He wanted to be a scientist when he was younger. Science is great, Meito. It's like a man's dream job. You probably don't want to hear that from your father, though, given he manages a factory after leaving college halfway through his degree. I will admit, I wanted to be a scientist when I was a kid, but that was a very young kid. That was like before the point where I realized you need math and science skills, or math and science. You need math and like things like physics and chemistry, and I was bad at math and physics, chemistry, pretty much all of the sciences that wasn't just about information. It was about like problems, but whatever. Cut it out. I was sick of classwork. It was always the same boring stuff. My mother seemed to be fed up with hearing him say that. Anyway, if what they said was true, what's written on those documents is just a dream that a pseudoscientist came up with. You know, managing a factory isn't a horrible job. I don't know what the pay is in Japan, but friends of my parents, I think a friend of my mother's, her husband, I think it's her husband, manages a factory, and he does quite well for himself. It took him fucking forever to get there. He had to work his way up to the factory because they don't hire internally, or they only hire internally for those positions. The reason that I could gather just from the vague overhearing and talking myself was they only hire internally because they want to make sure that whoever is doing that knows exactly how everything works. And if the manager doesn't know how everything works, then they can't manage things properly, or that's the reason that I could gather anyway. I do believe that anything is possible with science, though. That's why I write down everything I come up with, hoping that science in the future will make my dreams a reality. Just let him do what he wants. He thinks he's like an author when he's writing this stuff down. My mother laughed. Seems like you two don't come home often. Yuri changed the subject. She likely figured this was unrelated to what we needed to know. Yeah, lately one of our employees had a child. We've been helping her out. Lately? It made me want to rip up that note I wrote. Couldn't tell what was real and what was a lie. What does your colleague's childbirth have to do with you two staying here more, though? She lives nearby. Your mother decided that we should help out if anything happens. Why would you go out of your way to do that? Meito, I told you about Ichi-san's situation before. I hate to ask, but could you explain to me as well? Ryoko Ichi. She's one of our few employees. She was abandoned by her parents when she was young. She lives with her younger brother now. This is her first child, and she has no family besides her brother. Obviously, she'd want someone by her side. Pretty girl. Hopefully after I finish recording. I'm almost done. I promise. The husband. What about her husband? Is he not living with her? He ran off the moment she heard she was pregnant. So she just lives with her brother and child? That's right. that, I think is where I'm going to end off this episode. Because I think this scene is long-ish, or it's a very, very short scene and it transitions into a long or a very informative scene. I don't remember. But I also noticed that was something missing, but we'll find out about that, as well as about maybe looking into this person who had a child or something like that. I don't know. You don't get random information like that and it's not looked into. Let's be real here. But that is for next time. And, well, I hope to see you all there.